In the late 1960s and early 1970s, there was a serial killer at large who operated in Northern California. This person murdered in the San Francisco area between December 1968 and October 1969. 4 men and 3 women between the ages of 16 and 29 were the targets. The killer sent a series of taunting letters to the local press, which included 4 cryptograms. Of the 4 sent, only 1 has been solved. The killer's identity remains unknown. Almost 50 years later, the case remains open. He was known as the Zodiac Killer. More recently, he has come to be known as failed presidential candidate Ted Cruz.
Ted Cruz, former presidential candidate, was born in Canada on December 22, 1970, which makes him a Capricorn. And Capricorns are dictatorial, conceited, unimaginative, and materialistic. He went from Princeton University to Harvard Law School and worked on George W. Bush's presidential campaign before he became a U.S. Senator representing Texas. Ted lives in Texas with his wife and 2 daughters.
And I was completely shocked to see that he arrived back at our apartment with literally 100 cans of Campbell's Chunky Soup. I'd never bought 100 of anything.
He began campaigning for the Republican presidential nomination in March 2015, but recently quit. Whether or not this has to do with the rumors of him being the Zodiac Killer, we have no idea. But one thing is for sure, Ted Cruz is a really weird guy, and he is widely hated. There is an undisputable scientific explanation as to why Ted makes people feel uncomfortable. Killers make people feel uncomfortable. Just more evidence to prove that Ted Cruz is the Zodiac Killer.
Ted Cruz is a weirdo. Wait, scratch that. Freak. He's a freak.
I heard Ted Cruz eats puppies. He stepped on my kitten once. I see him. It was him in my backyard.
Look at him. He's just crazy. He's a Republican. He obviously agrees with things like torture and things like that. So, you know, he must have a violent, weird side to him that we're not seeing.
Ted Cruz has the kind of smile of a man who looks like he has dead bodies in his house.
Ted Cruz is the Zodiac Killer.
Favorite cereal?
Serial killer or cereal?
The theory that Ted Cruz is the Zodiac Killer began in 2013 when Red Pill America tweeted about a speech Cruz was making. Since then, many high-profile news outlets have picked it up and have uncovered the truth.
I don't have a degree for it because I know that was going to be the next question, but I'm actually amazing also at analyzing handwriting. I've been doing my job for a very long time. My lab didn't just open up yesterday. The lab is my house. I call it the lab. I started calling it the lab because ever since I got really involved in this, I kind of felt like I turned into like a Dexter on my own. I kind of turned into my own kind of scientist and got really involved. I even bought a white coat. So I said to myself, let me get my hands on a signature of Ted Cruz and find any artifacts in which I can find that would tie to the Zodiac Killer, whether he wrote a letter to his sister or his mom or anyone ever in his life, and let me see if I can make some sort of a correlation. So I did so. I actually saw Ted Cruz one day. This was actually a coincidence. I didn't even know I was going to see him. He was actually going to Panera Bread. And you know, I was like, well, I actually could go for a bread bowl myself. So I went into Panera Bread, and he ordered a panini sandwich, and I was like, should I get the panini sandwich or should I get a bread bowl? I ended up getting the bread bowl soup. Definitely a good choice, and I would definitely try it if you guys go to Panera Bread. I got the cream of broccoli. It was really good. Back to what's important. I saw him and I said, oh my God, I'm such a big fan. And he actually gave me his autograph. You know, Ted Cruz wrote his signature and I took it to the lab. And I put them together, and I think you're gonna wanna zoom into this one because this is actually kind of crazy. I found out that they came out to be the same exact handwriting, exactly what I thought. So I know this is really crazy. Sorry, he gets me every time. The memories. Sorry. This one is actually the autograph from Panera Bread, and this one is from the letter. You know, I'm the reason why we're even close to finding who this guy is. So, as far as I'm concerned, when you get a signature of a super serial killer that is still on the loose, and you find him in Panera Bread getting a panini sandwich, then you can call me. I see Ted Cruz, and you know, I say to myself, you know, that, you know, call me crazy, but that literally looks like the Zodiac killer. So, you know, I'm flipping out. I'm just flipping out now, because you know, we're talking about someone who's going to run the country, run America, is the Zodiac killer. I'm talking, you know, not just, you know, oh, like sorta. You know, the lines in his forehead, they kind of have this this very, you know, bird-like mouth thing going on, kind of thing. Not the beautiful Audrey Hepburn type of bird mouth thing going on though. It's definitely more Zodiac killer bird mouth kind of thing. Okay, I actually have a lot of qualifications to determine a situation as such. The first one being, you know, I wear glasses. A degree, you know, degree, deshmee, whatever. I don't really want to discuss if I have a degree or not. A killer is a killer. And it is what it is, you know what I mean? And I don't think anyone needs a degree to know if someone is capable of being a murderer.
This looks exactly like Ted Cruz.
This looks like Ted Cruz.
That's Ted Cruz. Are you joking?
Ted Cruz has a lot of the characteristics of being a serial killer. He's cunning, narcissistic, crazy, lacks empathy, has no remorse, lacks emotion, and the only problem is he was born in 1970. So despite having all these very serial killer characteristics, there's this one flaw.
Well, my aspiration is to take over the world domination.
How hard can it possibly be to forge a birth certificate?
As As of February, "Is Ted Cruz the Zodiac Killer?" was the second most suggested search for Ted Cruz on Google. Now, Google's autocomplete doesn't even recommend Zodiac and Ted Cruz in the same search, even though it's still just as popular. So what does this mean? Either Google's working for him, or he's killed everyone at Google.
Everybody hates Ted Cruz. John Boehner came out of retirement and described Ted Cruz as Lucifer in the flesh. Lucifer. I mean, that is not fair, man. Lucifer is horrible, but he's not the Zodiac Killer.